which is correct. El coche era azul o el coche fue azul. Era o fue una fiesta fantástica. O Obama fue el presidente o Obama era el presidente. Which is correct? This topic can be so confusing. So today I'm here to help you guys navigate the fue or the era. Hola amores, soy Madison and I'm here to help you today navigate the difference between when do you use fue and when do I use era. Both of the verbs era and fue come from the verb ser, which means to be, and they are both written in the past tense. Era being the imperfect form of the verb ser, and fue being the preterite form of the verb ser. These two words cause a lot of confusion to people learning Spanish because they're like, they both mean was, and when do I use each one because they both mean was, and how am I supposed to navigate it? Well, I'm here today on Everyday Español to help you navigate and figure it out so that we can learn it together, and by the end, you'll be a pro and be era, fue, I got this. So today, I'm going to be your teacher and your guide so you guys can figure this out and make it a whole lot easier for yourself. Vámonos. So we have these two words, era, fue, okay? And as I said at the beginning, they both come from the verb ser, which means to be. But they're both written in the past tense. Era means was. Fue also means was. But era is the imperfect form of the verb ser, and fue is the preterite form of the verb ser. So it's really important to note that I'm going to be focusing on these the entire video, era and fue. And these are going to be written in the third person form. So like the he, she, you formal. Like she was tall. He was the president. So again, that he, she form. So again, ella era o ella fue. Él era o él fue. O usted era, usted fue. So before we can even dive into figuring out when to use which, we need to think about what do we use to communicate when we use the verb ser, or what are we communicating when we use the verb ser? So it's important to note that we are always going to be using the verb ser to describe or talk about people, places, or things. So let's talk about when we use each one, era or fue. And I'm going to do it talking about 3 specific points on when to use each. The first point, objects, objetos. We are always going to be using the verb era to talk about objects or to describe objects. Now remember, we're using era to describe objects in the past because obviously era means was. So what does this look like? If I wanted to say, la casa era blanca, the house was white. The object being the house and the description being it is white. Okay, we are describing the object, which is the house. We're using era. Another example, el coche era azul. The car was blue. What's the object? The car. Okay, it was blue. We're giving a description of that object. And another example, el anillo era de oro. The ring was gold. Okay, what's the object? The ring. And you're describing that object. All right, so you might be looking at me and you're like, okay, I can see that. All right, we use era to describe objects in the past, Got it. Easy peasy. But now to our second specific point on how to navigate era versus fue. We're going to be talking about events, eventos, during a specific time frame. When we are talking about or describing events in a specific time frame, we are going to be using the verb fue. So what's an event? Let's look at a couple. Okay, you can do el cine, the movie theater. Going to the movie theater, that's an event. Okay. Una fiesta, party, that is also an event. Un concierto, another event, a concert. Clases, conferencias, classes and conferences are also events. When we're describing these events that happened in a specific time frame in the past, we're going to be using fue. So let's look at some examples of using events with fue. So if I want to say, la fiesta fue divertida, the party was fun. Okay? Using fue there is letting the speaker, letting the listener know, like, oh, the party was in a specific time frame. The party's not still going on. Okay? The party was fun. Another one, la clase fue interesante. The class was interesting. Okay? Again, using fue here with this event is describing the class as being interesting, but it's letting the listener know the class happened and it's kind of done. Another example, el día fue bonito. The day was nice. Using fue here, what's that letting us know? What's that letting the speaker know or the listener know? That you're talking about a day that happened in the past, it's done and over with. So you might be saying, Oh, how was the wedding? Oh, el día fue bonito. The day was beautiful. It was a nice day. Now, looking at these sentences, I'm going to kind of throw a little bit of a wrench in there. Okay, don't hate me. Now, could you use era in these situations? Technically, yes, you could, and it would be okay. But it's communicating something slightly different. So as I just mentioned with those three examples, using fue is letting the listener know that that was an event that's done in past. Okay? But these sentences, you could also use era. Don't hate me. Let me explain. So why can we use era? Because we use the imperfect to describe an action that was taking place. So why could we use era here? Because we use the imperfect to describe an action that was happening in the past, using era. Then when something interrupted that action, we would use fue. So let's look at some examples. So for example, if I said, or if you said, la fiesta era buena. For me, as somebody that speaks Spanish and is listening to you, I'm waiting almost like on the edge of my seat. To me, it gives me like, you haven't finished your thought. You haven't finished what you were going to say. It's like giving a background description. La fiesta era buena. The party was good, but it's like I'm waiting for you to finish your thought. Like you haven't completed what you were saying. So yes, you could use era, but to somebody that's speaking Spanish, it's like you're leading up to something more. You haven't finished your thought. I'm going to pause. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments, okay? Because yes, technically, you could use era. But if you're trying to say, like, for example, you went to a wedding last weekend. Oh, the wedding was beautiful. You're going to use which one? Fue, okay? Because if you just wanted to say, oh, the wedding was beautiful, okay, you would say use fue because you're letting the listener know that that happened. It's not a background thing. You've completed your thought. But if you used it and you said era, I'd be waiting for you to give me more to the story. Now, before we get into our third point, okay, let's take a brain break. Let's jump on the Unacademy app. Okay, so describing people. All right, translate the sentence. My mother has blue eyes. Mi madre tiene ojos azules y yo tengo ojos grises. Okay, complete the sentence. A picture of a little boy. All right, mi hijo tiene ojos azules. Bien. Pelo azul, ojos azules. Okay. True or false? Okay. Adjectives for ojos must be feminine and singular. No, fam. No, thank you. All right, last one. My sister has gray eyes and brown hair. Mi hermana tiene ojos grises y pelo marrón. Perfecto. All right, so let's dive back into today's lesson. The third point in our roadmap on discovering, okay, do I use fue or era? Okay, is describing people. So I'm going to break this up into three different kind of subcategories to help you navigate when to use which. So when we're giving descriptions of people in the past, we are going to use era. So for example, if I say, cuando Ana era niña, ella era alta, delgada y tímida. When Anna was a little girl, she was tall, thin, and shy. Okay, I'm describing Anna in the past. I'm using era. All right, moving into that second subcategory, okay? Comparisons. When we're using comparisons in the past, are we going to use fue or era? We're going to use era, okay? So let's look at an example. So before we dive into the example, when we're doing comparisons, we're saying, oh, when somebody was little, they were like this, but now they are like this. So we're using the imperfect era to make a comparison to now, the present. So for example, I could say, cuando Marcos era niño, él era rubio, pero ahora él es moreno. So that third subcategory of description of people is given a specific time frame. We're going to be using fue. So for example, if I said, Obama fue el presidente desde 2009 hasta 2017. Obama was the president from 2009 to 2017. That is a specific time frame, right? Because right now we're in 2024. 2017 passed, it's done. So we're going to use fue to say he was the president during this time frame. So you could say, Obama era el presidente. Works. Obama used to be the president. Because again, era can mean was or used to be. So you can say Obama used to be the president. But still, again, as a Spanish speaker, if you say Obama era el presidente, I'm thinking you're going to follow it up with something else, okay? Obama era el presidente. He used to be the president. He was the president, okay? But that is not letting me know that it's a specific time frame. I'm on the edge of my seat. What are you going to say next? So yes, you could use fue and era, but hopefully in those two examples, you can see the difference. The first one, Obama fue el presidente en 2009 hasta 2017, from 2009 to 2017, time frame, specific time frame. But if I didn't give a specific time frame, I just want to say he used to be, era. All right, I think you guys are masters now. Now, if anyone's ever questioning, oh, do I use fue? Do I use era? Which one do I use? You're going to be like, oh, I got you. Okay, because I watched Profe Madison's video on Everyday Espanol. Okay, so thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or follow-up questions about fue versus era, drop them down in the comments below. But make sure you share this video with your friends, turn on the notifications, subscribe, and I will see you next time on Everyday Espanol for more Spanish just like this. Adios, amigos.